This is NBC Connecticut.
Well, if you're a woman over the age of 35, can love and marriage be in your future? Absolutely. Tish Robbie is a local author from Mystic, and she co-wrote this book here, Love for Grown-Ups, the Garter Bride's Guide to Marrying for Life When You've Already Got a Life. Tish, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So Garter Bride, you brought this, you and your co-authors, explain the Garter and explain how you all got together to write this magnificent book.
Well, the Garter Bride started when two of the authors of the book, Pat and Ann, wore this same garter at their weddings, and they both got married after the age of 35, and they went on to share it with their girlfriends who were mature brides all across the country. So it's been worn by many brides and waiting for the next one.
I love it.
And I became a Garter Bride when I got married at 36.
So you have first-hand knowledge of this because, again, you met the love of your life after 35. And sometimes, I know I have a best friend. She's going to get married. She's 35 right now, and she's thinking, I don't think I'm ever going to. She will. It'll happen. You'll find your lobster, so we say, one day. So explain how it does work.
Well, what we've really tried to help women in our book is to know that it's never too late to give a new guy a chance. You know, not everybody's perfect. We're not perfect. They're not perfect. And also to know that one date can change your life.
And how did you meet your spouse?
I originally met my husband in high school.
Really?
And we reconnected because I actually did go to a high school reunion. This is in the book. High school reunions, college reunions. We recommend them. And I became an instant stepmom to a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Well, that's a question I was going to ask you. Usually when your spouse to be, you know, they're older in their life, they have maybe perhaps an ex, they have perhaps kids, or they're blended families. That's a challenge, but it happens. It happens each and every day. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, what we did for the book is interviewed women all across the country who had exactly these same experiences. You know, becoming a stepmom, dealing with an ex-wife, an ex-husband if you have one, dealing with finances. You know, what does it mean to blend two mature lives? And we have a lot of tips and a lot of help in the book.
Talk about, at the stage in your life, I would say in your upper 30s, you're set career-wise. You're pretty much set in your ways. You have a certain way of doing things. You know, you're pretty much established, most people, in their career. So is it difficult to kind of add someone into that picture? Because maybe you don't want to deviate from what's normal for you, your routine.
Well, I think we were really surprised when we interviewed all these women, because what we really found out was actually, that's sort of a myth, that women are even more flexible the older they are. They're mature, they understand you've got to make changes, they've had some life experience, some work experience. So we, interestingly enough, found that almost to be the opposite.
And again, I love the fact that you talked to these people, to other people who have been in the, on the same boat.
Yes.
And they've talked about what worked for them, what didn't. What do you think is the biggest thing that people, other than the fact that people think, oh, they're set in their ways, it's not going to happen, what else do you think that you found pretty surprising when you were doing your research?
Well, what we found really interesting was a lot of different scenarios work, not just one. We had couples who had long distance marriages. We've had people who, you had kids, he had kids, some group people decided not to have kids. So I think what we were excited about was the diversity of the stories in the book.
Let's talk about dating. Sometimes, is it easier in your, I'm going to sneeze, is it easier in your 30s or is it easier in your 20s?
Well, what we found, we really try to tell our brides, is to, if you've had a bad experience in the past, just leave it in the past. You know, try to look at every blind date, even as a first date. Two of the authors of the book met their husbands on blind dates. So we really say, you know, check your anger at the door. If you've had a bad experience, give the guy a chance.
You know what? You're right. Poor guy, poor Bob has no idea, that you dealt with a Joe back in the day and he was a mess.
Right.
You know? So it's really not fair. So you've got to start at a clean slate, so to speak.
Exactly. We always say on the first date, leave the ex-husband and the, you know, crazy teenager stories, you know,
Don't
date
scare
number
him
2.
Away, people. Don't scare him away at the beginning. But it happens, and you see it so many times. I have very close family members. They both got married at 39, and it happened for them, and it'll happen for everybody else who wants that. If you don't want that, that's fine. But if you do, it can happen. You just have to be open and willing.
Right. They're Garter brides. There they are.
Garter bride. She wants to give this to one of you ladies out there, so hopefully it'll happen for you. Then you can call her, and then you'll loan it to them.
Just go on our Facebook page, and we'll send it to you.
Okay, thank you so much. And again, the book is called Love for Grown-Ups. Thank you so much, Tish. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
As far as the weather, another chance for an afternoon shower.